everybody, it's Jen with Caketastic Cakes, and I'm going to show you how I made this very simple monster truck themed cake. It doesn't take much, and I just added a few real cars on it. It's easy, it's cute. It was for a third birthday, and the little boy loved it, so I'll show you what I did. It was easy. Yeah, I keep saying the word easy. Start with a sheet cake. You can buy a sheet cake, a plain sheet cake. You can make yourself a sheet cake, whatever you want to do. You need a sheet cake. I had it in the refrigerator, which is why I'm adding an extra layer of icing to the top right here, because the icing is American buttercream and it got all stiff and crusty and therefore not sticky. I needed it to be wet and sticky again. So I have a little strip of extra that I had cut off of one of the edges because I did make my own sheet cake here. And I'm making just this little rectangle. I'm going to double layer it just like the rest of the cake. And that's going to become the spectators' seats for my monster truck rally here. And I'm using the same icing as before. I'm just using the regular buttercream, American crusting buttercream. I'm trying to make it as neat and tidy as I can. If you're familiar with me at all over the years, it's not my strong suit. Smooth icing is just my little, I don't know. It's just something I've always worked and struggled at. All right, moving on. For the ground, for the dirt for my monster truck arena, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to use graham crackers. I put them in a plastic bag, rolled them over with my rolling pin until they're all crushed, and I'm just kind of drizzling them around on top of the cake. And this is why I had put that fresh layer of icing down, so now when I spread it out and kind of pat it down a little bit, it will all stick in. I'm just going to use a cake spatula. And I'm not going to go all the way to the edge. You can, of course, if you want to, do whatever the heck you want. You could also use something different like cookies or vanilla wafers, whatever. Whatever works for you. Okay, now I'm going to add some checkers to the sides, the black and white checkers. So I'm using some white and black fondant. I'm rolling it out pretty thin. I have a couple of cake stirrers that I got. Not cake stirrers, geez, paint stirrers I got. And I baked them for a little bit to make sure they were clean and sterile, and I use them to measure the thickness that I roll my stuff out for, my fondant and gum paste out. And I'm just using some squares. I want to say these were like the 1-inch squares, maybe the 1.25-inch squares. And I'm going to make a bunch of the whites and then a bunch of the black, doing the same thing, rolling it out nice and thin, nice and even. And I know that the rolling pins, if you're familiar at all with cake decorating, the rolling pins come with the little rubber bands that you put on the ends in order to make it all the same thickness. I'm just really lazy, is really what it comes down to. I can't be bothered with the little rubber bands, and I don't know why. I don't know if it actually saves me any time. I feel like it probably doesn't really in the long run, but I use my little sticks. I don't know. It's just what I do. Yeah, so anyway, white squares, black squares, you get it. Now to assemble, I'm going to stick them on alternating, just like that. I'm going to do around the entire bottom row, and I had measured it out, the cake out, so that I think I did measure it out so that the squares would be able to line up to the edges of the cake, so it would be nice and even. I wouldn't have like a half a tile hanging off the one side. I'm going to smooth it down with my fondant spreader there, my fondant smoother. And then I'm going to do the same thing, alternating up top. You can see it doesn't quite go all the way to the top because that's that, fault in my stars type thing where I can't I can't make icing as nice and even and smooth as I'd like it to. But hey, I try. Yes, I do. And I do this in my own kitchen, in case you can't tell by like the people and family and stuff moving around in the background there. Just ignore them. Focus on the cake. Yes. All right, I went around the whole cake, and now I'm going to do the little arena stadium area. And this part, I did trim the pieces a little bit just to make the squares a little bit smaller. I could have rolled out more fondant and made more squares, but I'm lazy and I didn't feel like it, so I just cut the squares. And it also gave me like little extra pieces, little rectangular pieces there, like you're going to see me place. And I'm going to make, I don't know what you call it, a lip, I guess, around the top of the arena, so when I pour the beads in, they're going to sit inside of it and not roll off and get away. Yeah, so Here's what I'm talking about. I've got basically like a little box lip around the top. When you fill in your arena, you're going to want just the larger candy balls, beads, whatever you want to call them, sprinkles, and you're going to make a nice layer. Try to fill in the layer as solidly as possible. Try not to let any icing show through, or as little as possible, you know. And I also made this stadium flat, the stadium seating flat. If you want, you could make it at an angle so it slopes down toward the track. Probably would have been a nice touch. Hindsight is 2020. If I ever make this cake again, I probably would do it that way, honestly. So just something to think about. You can make yours better than mine. Now, as far as the edge, I'm putting some green icing. I'm using the grass or the hair, fur tip, whatever you want to call it, in order to just go around and give it, again, a border so the gravel, my crumbs don't fall off. And again, this is up to you. You don't have to do it. Do whatever you want. You could bring another half of the tile up to make a lip like on the stadium. You could just use a softer and wetter icing so it sticks better and just go to the edge. Whatever you want to do. I also put the green in because I felt like, and I'm doing around the edges on the corners, I felt like it gave a little more color. It just kind of was very plain at the bottom and very reflective on that cake plate. So it was very shiny and very black and white. I just wanted to break it up a little bit. Now, in order to make a couple little flames, I mixed some yellow and orange fondant together. I just twisted it together. I didn't knead it together, so that way it becomes kind of marbled throughout. And I'm using an X-Acto knife just to create some wavy lines. And in the center, you just kind of make a loop like a letter U. You just keep it very curvy, flat on the bottom, because it is going to be on the side of the cake, so it's got to go flat against the bottom of the cake plate. But then just curvy and wavy up. See? Just like that. And I don't have any real rhyme or reason to it. There are templates that you can print if you want, if you're uncomfortable with it. I just tend to freestyle stuff. I just kind of throw caution to the wind sometimes. I think I mentioned sometimes I can be lazy. Yeah, that's probably part of it too. I'm making a number 3 out of red fondant here that's also going to go on the cake. If you are inclined and want to be a little fancy, you could add some CMC powder to your fondant and make it stand up so you could have, you know, I don't know, like one of your monster trucks jumping through some fire, something like that. I did not take that route. I just did it this way. Now I'm making some more cake pieces. I made it, as you can see, like a ramp. I covered it in the green icing because I colored all my icing green, which left me in a bind. I wasn't foresighted enough to leave some just plain white, whatever. I'm covering it all with the crumbs anyway. I've got lots of crumbs and I'm going to use them. So I'm going to build up the sides, cover all the green, and make it into just a dirt ramp. You're going to see it in just a second here. And then poof, through the magic of editing. There you go. Look at that. It's a dirt ramp. Okay, once I have my ramp in place, now it's time to add the cars and trucks. I've got a school bus. My monster truck is going to be jumping over it. Just kind of smush it down as best you can to sit in the icing. I realize it didn't stick very well because of the crumb toppings. It blocked the icing from gripping the wheels, so I placed the cars and trucks as best I can, as most stable as possible. And there you go. It's simple. It's cute. The kid loved it. It was fun to make. And it's easy. I might have said that before. It's easy. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please like and subscribe because it helps me out as well. I got a lot of other videos out there and more coming, so be sure to take a look. And as always, thanks for watching Caketastic Cakes.